to open the Community and Culture Committee meeting of 11th of November 2025. The meeting open at exactly 5 o'clock. And a warm welcome to everybody who's here today and also anybody who might be watching at home. In honour of Remembrance Day, I request that we pause the meeting and observe a minute's silence. If anybody would like to stand, they're welcome to, but if not, you can stay seated and we'll have a minute's silence. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. To give an acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we live, work and play, and pay our respects to Dark and Young country and elders past and present. We recognise the continued connection to these lands, waterways, and extend this acknowledgement to the homelands and stories of those who also call this place home. We recognise our future leaders and the shared responsibility to care for and protect our place and people. I'd like to remind councillors and all those present that your image and what you say may be broadcast live to the public, so please be mindful of your actions and your comments. You should avoid making statements that might defame or offend, and note the recording of this meeting will be retained online in council's archives. Please turn your mobile phones off or switch to silent. Filming and photography are not permitted in this meeting, and anyone observed to be filming the meeting may be asked to leave. Apologies. I do have apologies from Mayor McKenna, Councillor McQuaid, and Councillor Jane Smith. There have been no requests received from the committee members to join via AV link. I think at this point I need to get a motion up to accept that Councillor Neal is the alternate here tonight. I move. Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, alternate for Trent.
Yes, thank you. And Councillor McGregor. Those in favour? Excellent, thank you. And now, just go through the disclosures of interest. If any committee members are here tonight, do have a disclosure of interest, any item on the agenda. Firstly, I can confirm that I actually have no conflict of interest tonight. Is Councillor Daniels there online?
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have to. So Daniels, what? Okay, I'll leave that for a moment. Councillor McNamara, any declarations? Okay. Councillor Walsh. Councillor McGregor.
No one conflicts, Chair.
And Councillor Neal.
No conflicts are declared.
Thank you. Councillor Daniels comes back on. We'll flip back to her then. That's probably the way to go. Okay. Now, the confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. Do I have a mover?
I'll move that, but I actually do have a minor amendment.
Okay.
Because when I actually noticed that when the minutes came to us at the council meeting, but I confirmed it by actually going through the YouTube, which is a fun thing to do. Just going to page 10. There was initially a motion moved by Councillor Smith and Councillor Walsh which was actually items, was actually numbers 1 to 4. Then I moved the amendment, which has now become number 5, and that amendment was accepted by Walsh and Smith. And then we went on to have our further debate. That's the only amendment.
So
I'm moving the adoption of the minutes with the addition of the fact that myself, there's an amendment, the wording which is in number 5 of the recommendation, and that was accepted by the mover and the seconder motion, so then became a substantive vote.
do I have a seconder for that? Seconded, councillor Walsh. Have you?
Who was the mover? Sorry, Walsh and O'Neill and.
Yes, yes. Put the motion. All those in favour of the motion? Unanimous. Oh, yes, councillor Daniels is there now too, so I might just. Councillor Daniels, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can. We can
Yep,
see.
okay.
It's
Sorry,
just,
I was stuck in traffic.
that's absolutely fine. We've already did the conflicts of interest declaration, so I'm just asking you now whether you have anything to declare in related to what's on the agenda today.
Nothing to declare.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now going on to looking at the items that may be solved by exception, and I'll go through those items, and if they are to be discussed, then we obviously leave them in the discuss column, but if they are to be resolved en masse, I'll move them over to the other column, as will the civic support team. So the first item, obviously, is definitely going to be discussed because we have a guest presenter over here in Ian from Pacific League Housing. So that's 2.1. So that will be happening. 3.1 was the matter laid on the table.
We have to discuss that.
Yep, so that has to be discussed. The next one is 4.1, Central Coast Affordable and Alternative Housing Strategy. This was an update that was deferred from the last meeting. Want that?
No, did you say?
Yes.
What did you say? It was a.
Sorry, it's 4.1, which is the Central Coast Affordable and Alternative Housing Strategy update. It was deferred from the last meeting.
We ran out of time.
Yeah, we ran out of time. Remember that? Yeah. Yes. Yes. So we're leaving that there. Yeah. Australia Day Award changes for adoption. 4.2. That was again deferred. And also, do we want that left in? I think we have to. Yes. And 5.1 still relates to Australia Day Award changes. This does get slightly confusing, but when we get there in the agenda, we'll work through this. 5.1, which is Australia Day Award changes for adoption and update.
So that is
Yeah.
the further information that was requested at the last committee meeting.
Yeah. So we need to leave those basically. 5.2 is the draft Central Coast Council Tukli Community Facilities Master Plan.
Sorry,
Oh, sorry.
can we discuss those two together? If
Yes, we're going to.
same thing, just as
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
Don't need a procedure.
I was going to move a procedure when we got to them, but we could do that then. But that's the Australia Day ones, Councillor McGregor?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sort of it's the same issue rather than do it twice.
We follow each other.
Well, and it basically wants an update of the other, so we will do that. Then we have the draft Central Coast Council Tukli Community Facilities Master Plan, the outcome of the public exhibition and adoption. Okay. And 0.3, which is,
I think we should discuss it. There's only one left.
yeah, might as well. Why not? Is the public art policy.
It's important.
Okay. So it looks like we're doing everything basically. Thank you. Do I, as we still do the animation, I have a mover that we basically deal with what we've said we're going to deal with. Councillor Walsh, Councillor McIntyre.
We did not deal with any matters.
Right. No matters dealt with by exception. All those in favour? Okay, so I'd like to now invite Ian Lynch, the Group Chief Executive of Pacific Link Housing, to speak with us and give us some insights into Pacific Link Housing work and expansion on the Central Coast. Thank you, Ian.
Ian, there's a slide. Oh, here we go. So, good. Thank you.
So thank you for the invitation to come along and present to the committee. My brief was to provide an overview of Pacific Link Housing, the work we do in the community, some of the ways in which we partner with council, and some of the projects that are coming up. Well, will be as rapid as I can. I'll acknowledge the previous acknowledgement of country in doing so. For those that don't know, Pacific Link Housing has been active in the community for over 40 years. It was the 40th anniversary last year of the entity, and our mission is to provide safe and secure and affordable homes across the community. We have evolved to become a group of entities. So we have two wholly owned subsidiaries. So whilst Pacific Link is a not-for-profit entity, registered charity, tier 1 community housing provider, highly regulated, we have created two wholly owned proprietary limited companies that are set up to provide services to third parties, make a profit, distribute those profits to our charitable endeavours, mainly aimed at either tenant capacity building for those in our social housing, or for environmentally friendly initiatives across that housing stock. Our footprint has grown over those 40 years. So whilst Pacific Link Housing was originated on the Central Coast and primarily we are 2/3 when you look at the numbers of houses on that map. 1/3 extends into a couple of other LGAs, most principally being our focus and the way in which we see ourselves. Our only office is based in Gosford. We see ourselves as the housing provider for the Central Coast. Hopefully this isn't new to people. This is what's called the housing continuum. And just to explain a little bit about where we sit. So on the left-hand side, we have the extreme end being rough sleeping, someone's state of housing, through to full home ownership. So community housing providers sit in the space of anything that is rented. So we don't dabble in home ownership. We don't build and sell properties for purchase. We build properties for with a build to rent mindset, from anything at the extreme of market rate housing to blend in for feasibility purposes, but mainly we're aimed at how we can create stock in that, whether it's transitional, social, or affordable housing. So that effectively that middle bit of the spectrum. This gives you a little bit of an idea of the work. So across the last 10 years, Pacific Link has seen significant growth in terms of our ability to deliver houses in the local community. So prior to 2017 or so, Pacific Link wasn't actively developing, acquiring, or have the balance sheet capacity to own properties. What we've done over the past 10 years or so is deploy some cash that was on the balance sheet in term deposits by way of acquisition, and then have slowly built up quite a capacity in property development, to the extent that we've now either acquired or built over 170 properties in the last 10 years, and we've got a pipeline that's probably in excess of 100. As you can see, primarily focused on the Central Coast development mindset. In the forward looking, so what's on our plate right now amongst the community, we are under construction, as you can see by the photo, of 21 units in Woy Woy. That project sort of exemplifies what is possible by having an active community housing provider in the community. We've been able to attract federal government funding through the Housing Australia Future Fund. We were able to attract state government funding through something called the Community Housing Innovation Fund. And we were able to work with council in a voluntary planning agreement whereby some unused land that were previously identified as footpaths that obviously led to nowhere would be able to be blended into the site as part of an arrangement to gift council land at the back of the site, which was creek and bushland. We also worked with council to, which has been announced, on identifying a recipient site for some of the biodiversity offset. So that will create 21 units, which will be a blend of purely social and affordable long-term rental housing. That's what the front of the street frontage will look like. Anything that we do, we're trying to build to a quality and aesthetic that blends in with the community, reduces stigma, gives people a sense of pride and place in society. Part of our pipeline is a site in the entrance which council ran a tender for a couple of years ago, which is probably well known, in Ashton Avenue in the entrance. The current status of that site is that we were successful in positioning it the state significant pathway, so it is currently due to be assessed in the by the Housing Delivery Authority. We are estimating that that will be at least 48 units to be built approximately over 7 stories, providing much needed, again, social and affordable housing in the entrance where it is certainly an area of high need. There are some schematics here. I think there's been a bit of architectural license. There's no way we're going to be paying for curved exteriors, but it gives you a sense of what will be able to be created there. There is a forthcoming Housing Australia Future Fund round, these sorts of developments where there has been an element of a give from some level of government, make these applications far more attractive to other levels of government to provide their income support as well. We have 2 other sites in other LGAs, one in Charlestown in Lake Macquarie and a little townhouse development, Cessnock. I will say that part of the thinking around LGAs has been the helpfulness of councils in assessing DAs over the past years. That has led us to be more actively looking in other LGAs, but I would be pleased to say that that feeling has faded away recently. Another project which is on our books is as a result of a federal election commitment. We were successful in attracting $20 million to the community to build what will be a domestic violence trauma recovery centre. The project is in its early stages. We're still dealing with Federal Treasury around the contracting and the funding, but we are hopeful to have that project done and dusted and operational within 12 to 18 months. This gives you some ideas. So we've been doing a little bit of investigative works around what can be done and what has been done elsewhere. So this gives you an idea of what will be created and the level of standard that we can replicate. This is a centre in Illawarra and this is a centre in Perth, both doing similar things. There is only a handful of projects and sites around the country that are at the level of what we will be producing on the Central Coast. I won't, given time, I won't go too much through the previous projects that have been completed, but I presume the slides will be in your papers. We have been, these pictures give you an idea of the level of quality and finish that we produce. And we have been successful in attracting or winning some awards. This one in particular won the National Award from the Property Council for Best Affordable Housing Development.
Without the curves.
Without the curves.
It was straight lines.
I will also skip past the social enterprises also in the interest of time. We are, one of the things that we certainly pride ourselves in our activity within the community is the way in which we support those tenants living in our social housing properties, particularly kids growing up in social housing. We have a number of programs that we specifically provide budget to out of our operational surplus funds, but also go about attracting philanthropic support to conduct them. So the programs are essentially aimed at increasing the capability and capacity of people within themselves, for those that are able, to become active members in the community. So whether that is relating to education, ability, or just simply inclusivity, particularly with kids. So we do, as you can see, a Tech Connect loan program, education support programs, Learner Driver, a health and wellbeing program mainly aimed at kids' sports. So we might help parents pay for their kids to pay that netball, rego and uniform or music lessons or whatever it might be. We have a Better Backyard program. For example, we partner with Husqvarna, who provide discounted electric equipment to maintain those yards, which is obviously has a benefit all round. We employ to support staff on our team. One of the ways that we do engage with and harness that community support is this van. So Bendigo Bank contributed the funds for us to purchase and fit out this van so that we can better conduct our tenant engagement activities. So briefly touching on some of the ways in which we do actively work with the council or have done over the recent years. We consult. We were actively consulted with in the formulation of the affordable housing strategy that you're going to be reviewing. We partner in terms of the council-owned sites. So one example is a meanwhile use site located near Gosford High School that has tiny homes situated on it under a long-term lease from council, which is effectively meanwhile use before hopefully we see a Etna Street Bridge upgrade. The Ashton Avenue site, and encourage council to continue to investigate what can be done on those council-owned sites. Creative. There are some other freestanding houses that are on council-owned property where council is engaged through a tender process, our social enterprise Key 2 Realty, so whereby Pacific Link is actually renting these properties from council at a fair rate to see people supported by the Salvos, which was our tender partner for that program, live in transitional housing in these council properties. I've already touched on the Woi Woi site and the entrance site, but primarily we see ourselves as a partner for advocacy. So obviously part of our remit is to create a better Central Coast overall. So there's opportunities to work in tandem with council, whether that's to produce advocacy documents, which we do of our own volition and have council support us and show that support visibly, or the other way around, collaborating on what are the issues to be advocated for. For example, at a parliamentary inquiry into older women's housing, we absolutely see ourselves as a partner council. Summarise the challenges for Pacific Link Housing as a community housing provider. It absolutely comes back to the money. Our balance sheet and our cash is obviously finite. Bearing in mind we're a not-for-profit, we have a independent board of directors. The company takes on quite a lot of risk, through property development. Property development in itself is a very risky business, but we add to our capacity to deliver affordable homes through taking on debt. So the federal government has debt initiatives specifically for community housing providers, but with that comes a whole lot of challenges and responsibility and risk. Particularly when your returns on those assets is quite limited. But that is the challenge before us. It is absolutely a numbers game, and how we can best utilise the assets that we can get into our disposal, and once they're in our disposal, how we can use them in the most efficient way. Day to day, we do see a rising trend in terms of members of the community with mental health challenges. This is a challenge which I'm sure you're all aware of, and that creates risk in our staff, in the properties, and in community perception. So the ability for us to work in tandem with the likes of Central Coast Health, that those things are the challenges and they are not easily addressed. So with that,
Anybody, a few questions for Ian before we move on?
Thanks, Ian. The cost of your new bills appeared to be somewhere between $500,000 and $600,000. But then you talked about tiny homes, the one at Gosford. I'm sure that costs a lot less than the $500,000 or $600,000. Do you think that the tiny homes will catch on more because of the cost, capital costs?
I think potentially, and same blended in is the modern methods of construction. Part of the equation, I think, when assessing what should be built and where is the longevity. So those dwellings that might cost us $500,000 now are going to last 60, 70, 80 years. Tiny homes by default won't. Also, in looking at those typologies, what can be created and what is the tenant experience going to be with that? So we're primarily in the game for creating long-term homes for people, and the question that we have internally is this home, like considering a tiny home, who should live there for how long, what age, in what circumstance? So I think tiny homes are a solution, but they're a small part of the solution.
Second question, you talked about the federal government, I think it was investment or loans, you might have called them.
Yeah.
Any other levels of government doing anything like that around the country, or
no? So
local or state levels?
No. So the federal government is making debt finance available through an entity called Housing Australia. The nature of those loans is long-term interest only, and they're ultimately repayable, and there ultimately is a cost to that money. There are some councils around the country that do make interest-free loans available to community housing providers as to help build up that equity stack. So that is something that council can think of.
I'll just go to Councillor Daniels. Don't forget her, actually. Councillor Daniels, you had a question?
Yeah, firstly, I'd just like to commend you guys. I didn't know about the Tech Connect and the education programs that you guys provide, so I think that's just fantastic. My question was just regarding like the stigma around some of these affordable houses, particularly around Gosford. A lot of the community have concerns about violence and antisocial behaviour and drug use and abuse and like especially like single parents and children living in unsafe environments. Do you find that's a problem, or do you think like the new builds are encouraging better behaviour, or how are you finding that?
I think it's certainly not the new builds. I think it is inappropriate housing situations where it is providing an element of squalor, and that's obviously a whole lot of squatting and the like going on in vacant lots in and around Gosford and other areas. But that does play a part in stigma, absolutely. But I would say, having visited many of our properties, that is not the case with what is commonly long-term social housing tenants. They're often elderly people, families who might have kids with disabilities, single mums, etc. Where there are tenants who are having challenges, whether it's mental health or drug and alcohol or whatever the case might be, our role, and we're actually regulated to do so, is to provide that wraparound support and connect in with appropriate supports. And I would also bear in mind that community housing management of social housing stock across the Central Coast is I think it's around a quarter of the stock. 3/4 of the social housing is actually managed by the state government.
Councillor Neal, and I think we might do that.
I just wanted to really express my admiration of what Pacific Link has done, and for a very long period of time, it's really, I had very brief links with it 35 years ago, but it's a completely different animal now. And also, well done yourself for the leadership you provided over the last few years. It's seen a rapid expansion, which means more housing for people in need in the community. So it's fabulous. In terms of what council can do to assist to provide more affordable housing, do you have any suggestions in terms of our activities or our policies might actually assist? I know you've already contributed to the document we've got before us, but is there anything that may have come up since, or that's not included in that?
I think there's some really good initiatives in the strategy that's still before you. It's quite voluminous in the number of strategies, perhaps. One thing that's not in there is council looking at its capacity to lend in secured loaned funds to developments that are happening on the Central Coast. Every level of government only wants to contribute a bit to an end outcome. So to the extent to which a local council is willing to contribute a bit, then you stand a much better chance of attracting that funding available from the other two levels of government. Council is doing that already by way of looking at the land sites. One fantastic opportunity is to consider cash and making cash available in a secured way that is at no cost to the site, because that will absolutely attract the funding from other levels.
What sort of percentage are you talking about on the site?
Say 10 to 20% of the total cost.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Very quickly, Councillor Walsh.
The tiny homes, what's the kind of turnover or time frame that you're seeing?
So the tiny homes that we manage, so we partner with Co-Shelter in those and use them for transitional purposes. So yeah, so they're used for youth coming out of the youth refuges in a transitional way. So there's 6 months.
So that transitional housing need we know is enormous, and there's not a lot of it. So how do you see, you know, even council could assist with that in big money, obviously, but
yeah, at the end of the day,
it just seems like an area that the Housing Future Fund and so forth, you know, it's kind of not in there. You know,
youth specifically.
Transitional.
Transitional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just for you, for you know, women with kids transitioning from refuges and, yeah.
Yeah. Same in the same fashion. At the end of the day, it's a dwelling that's required, whatever shape, size that dwelling is. It's how to create that and fund it. So it's those same things. It's what assets are at council's disposal, and could council contribute assets, which can be land, cash, are the main two things into providing that solution.
Going to have to wrap it up, otherwise, unfortunately, we could probably sit here all night. Maybe we'll have to organise another forum where we'll sort of, you know, have a bit more of a chance to toss some ideas back and forth. Thank you very much, Ian. It was much appreciated. Okay.
Stay if you want to.
Or to leave.
If you've got to leave.
But you don't get the time back.
Well, everyone wants to be at this committee.
They do. They do. Okay. Moving right along. We're on a bit of a deadline purely as well because we've got another meeting that comes directly after this, so that sort of makes it a little bit tighter. So we're now moving back to item 3 and 3.1, which was 3 was matter laid on the table.
I'd like to move that the matter be lifted off.
Yes. Councillor Neal's moved that. Do we have a seconder to John McNamara, Councillor McNamara, to lift the matter from the table? Just before we do start, I would like to, and I'd like it noted in the minutes, I do have quite a substantial number of signatures here on petition in terms of keeping about the future of Wyong Memorial Pool. It should be noted that the document is over 1,000 signatures at this point, which have been collected by the community, and I believe there are more to come. So I'd like to table it, and I'm more than happy to pass it round. So that is over 1,000 signatures in support of obviously not closing it, but having said that, also not saying we're against the future plans going further, you know, Warnervale, wherever that ends up happening to be. So, and I thank the community represented here by Mr. Grenwald for getting this together. Completely of their own volition, I hasten to add. So I'll just pass that round. Councillor McGregor?
I've submitted some wording to civic support on this item. I'd like to move that.
Yep. Do we have that wording?
There's a motion before the chair is an amendment to that motion. Is it an amendment to the motion?
It might,
I'm my wording, not staff recommendation.
No, there's a motion that's before the chair at the moment. Is the motion that was laid on the table. So is yours a different motion or an amendment to that motion?
Well,
it'd have to be amendment to the
Exactly.
motion. Call it an amendment.
Not necessarily. My interpretation of meeting procedure would be that if you've activated item 3.1 and there isn't actually a resolution because no one's moved anything other than to recommit 3.1, that allows someone to move something for 3.1, but that is a matter for the chair.
Yeah, no, I actually lifted the motion that was already existing, but I'm happy to listen to it.
Yeah, let's get this up here and then we can work out where we're going from there. How does that sound? Councillor McGregor, we got with the wording?
We'd have to give you a different screen, the item.
Okay, we'll just wait while we get the wording up. And my name has got an S on the end of it, by the way.
That's all.
Is this the amendment?
This is what Councillor McGregor's moving.
It's an amendment.
Not this
We
bit.
don't know yet.
We're waiting for the next.
We're waiting for it to come up. Yeah, just wait for it to come up because we obviously need a seconder anyway. Right. So this is it, Councillor McGregor?
That's what I'm moving. In the event that it gets to second, I'll also foreshadow something further.
Seconder?
Second.
There's a bit of a procedural problem here because there's actually already a matter before the chair.
Well,
The last thing that was moved was to an amendment to defer the item.
We moved a motion that be lifted from the table. Which is the motion that was actually there.
The last thing that was moved prior to putting it.
That wasn't the motion.
last thing.
And
We,
if we could put up the motion that
That's-
was on the table that just got lifted, it has a section 5 that was included in the motion originally, which is a little bit the same as that.
Laid on the table.
They are different words in part 5 of the motion.
I want to see how different they are.
okay, so, all right, well, what I think we will do, ruling here from the chair, is that we will put the other words up, and then with this particular motion that we have on here at the moment from Councillor McGregor, seconded by Councillor Walsh, and I know it may well end up being an amendment, but we can look at where we now deal with it.
Yep.
That's where we're at, I think. This is what we have up here at the moment. So, because at the moment, can this stand as a standalone motion, or does it need to go in as part of the?
Doesn't really matter. If you accept it as
It doesn't really matter, does it?
you've got to debate the amendment. If you don't accept it as an amendment, then you go back to
Yeah.
the original, which hasn't even been moved because we actually just recommitted item 3.1. So there's no mover and seconder for it. We can't just have a space-time continuum change where we just go back in time a month and then
Okay, so
change the past. So
Look, I don't think it really matters because this is very similar to the original motion that was laid on the table.
well,
But let me finish. But the issue is it's not a continuum. When you lay it on the table, we had a motion we're debating. The procedure motion that was laid it on the table, which means it becomes inactive. We then move to procedure motion that be lifted up again, and then it's before us. So we can choose to amend it, or we can choose to that motion, or it can be withdrawn, I guess. But
can I also make the point that in the Code of Meeting Practice adopted by this council, there is no reference whatsoever to laying matters being laid on the table.
but we've used as a practice for some time.
Outside of the Code of Meeting Practice, which we're not
Well,
supposed to do.
we have a mover of the motion, which was the one that Councillor McGregor put in earlier, and a seconder. I'm going to rule that we actually vote on that.
Vote on what?
The McGregor Walsh motion.
Can I make a suggestion? That the motion put forth for Councillor McGregor
Yeah,
doesn't talk about the adoption of the aquatic strategy. It just talks.
it's about the
That's
police.
why I want to talk to
That's it.
foreshadowed that would come after if
Yeah.
this is in itself
Yeah.
successful.
So can I have, we will vote on that particular.
I speak.
Vote on what, sorry?
Before he vote, we vote. Councillor McGregor speak.
Yes. Okay, speak to it, Councillor McGregor.
The wording that I submitted to Civic Support, the advisory group, and to the chair is in line with the community petition that's been circulated here with over 1,000 people in it. I myself, as a ward councillor, have been lobbied by many members of the community around the pool. I've had conversations with state and federal government representatives around the pool. It is quite clear that there is not only a broad consensus, but very strong feeling in this community that this asset be retained. I am aware of the issues with the pool. I am aware of the complexities with it, but given the gravitas of the lobbying which has occurred from both the community and our superiors in state and federal government, it may seem a little bit strange to go in the direction that was suggested in terms of closing the pool. When we look at the spread of community, the influx of people and the spread of development through the north, there is no reason why you cannot have a facility in Wyong, which is a localised one, and a regional facility in the north. The largest issue is around timing and funding. If you look at the way to progress the regional facility in the north, you're going to need external funds, which you're not going to get if you're constantly at loggerheads with people over taking things in a different direction to the direction that they want to see things taken into when they provide funding. The councillors are here to serve the community. Sometimes it is unfortunate and uncomfortable. We do have disagreements with different people internally. And this is not meant as a mode of disrespect or anything like that. It's simply representing the community view and the mainstream view, in my opinion, that the pool should be maintained, particularly given the focus that Gosford Pool has had in the past as opposed to Wyong. And I do not buy into the argument that private pools that are set up for profit and for a different purpose to fulfil the same function that the Wyong pool does. I will also note the historical relevance of it being a memorial pool paid for by public subscription, which may lead itself to some of the strong feeling in the community and potentially the involvement of external agencies and parties in the event that there is a move to decommission the facility. As raised earlier, I do foreshadow that in the event that this is successful, I'm happy to provide wording around the strategy itself, whether it be amended and brought back to the committee, or in the event that it's time sensitive, that it be amended and then submitted to full council for adoption if it's in line with the resolution going up successfully. In the event that what's on the screen here is voted down, then I will vote against the strategy tonight and in the council due to the issue of the Wyong pool being closed.
Councillor Walsh, did you want to speak to it a second?
Oh, no, ditto.
Ditto. Okay.
I think that, sorry, Belinda, Councillor Nell, I do think that the community sentiment is really, really strong. We know that. And I do believe it needs to be listened to.
Okay, thank you.
But this motion is in essence exactly the same as the amendment I've moved at the last meeting, which I read out that specify that the Wyong pool at the end of its life be reconstructed in the same position that it is presently located. And then it goes on to delete the last sentence. This is referring to the strategy, deleting the last sentence of 9.6, second paragraph, and deleting action points 7 and 8. So I'll be supporting this proposition, but if we're going to proceed, the adoption of the strategy will need to apply subsections B and C, or we'll have contradictory motions.
All right. For clarification, what I would say is that the motion that was on the table, points 1, 2, 3 and 4, you need to go ahead tonight. And these 1, 2 and 3 up here could be 5, A, B and C, replacing what you had as an amendment last time. It just does two things. It gets through what 1, 2 and 3 and 4 was about, the actual policy, and 5, then A, B and C sets out what you want to do for the Wyong pool in the strategy. And I think that covers everybody. It covers the director and what the director's got to do, covers what should go out on public exhibition, and it listens to the community of what they've said.
And also we don't have to want to have the councillors fiddling with what we're doing here if we don't settle it.
Oh, terrible. That's my recommendation on everything. So my recommendation would be if you added 1, 2 and 3 and 4 from the original motion to your motion and have yours as 5, A, B and C, I think it covers everybody tonight to make you move forward.
Councillor McGregor.
Look, so procedurally, I think the document's got to be amended before it's adopted. So that's why I've done it with this way, then foreshadow that if this is, in the event that that's successful, you then go send the document to full council, or if it has to come back to.
We've got the amendments we need here.
This is coming to council on next Tuesday, correct?
We have got the motion on the table at the moment. Correct. So I think we should put it to the vote.
I don't think we have clarity around.
Need to.
We need to separate it in two.
Okay.
Whether we just do the additional points as addendums. If it needs to be done in one, then I'll accept the 1 through 5 as an addendum, which would be in addition to what we've got there, what we had there before it's slightly changed. In the event that it doesn't need to be an addendum, the standalone and then the foreshadowed was to do what
But you're
was
saying-
there.
Okay.
This motion that's actually, we're already debating before Councillor McGregor started debating his, is actually not inconsistent with his motion. We can actually deal with Councillor McGregor's motion. And then also adopt the motion that's also before the chair, that as they're not inconsistent.
Well, it will be if you have 1 through to 5 in the original
As it
motion,
stands, that's
but
right.
if you have 1 to 4 in the original, and then this motion here as.
Five isn't inconsistent.
Yes.
It is.
No, it isn't. To specify that the wiring pool at the end of its life be reconstructed in the same position that it is located.
Well, that's
That's not inconsistent.
it is.
I think
No, it's
That
consistent.
the wiring Olympic pool be retained and not decommissioned.
Correct. It doesn't say about reconstruction, doesn't say.
It's
that.
not inconsistent because you can retain it.
Let me tell you what
Hang
the
on, let me finish. And it can be retained and not decommissioned. Then this one says that the wiring pool at the end of its life be reconstructed in the same position presently located. Those two things are not inconsistent.
I see what you're saying.
that doesn't give
The inconsistency is really with point 1 there when it says adopts the Central Coast strategy, but then it talks about amending it later on. You have to amend it before you adopt it, or otherwise you're adopting something
That's in here.
as unamended.
No,
That's
we're not.
kind of the whole point of the foreshadowed.
Chair, yes, I have to say, and this is just speaking from the chair here, I know, but that I do believe that what is actually sitting on the board at the, on the screen at the moment with the motion from Councillor McGregor, seconded by Councillor Walsh, added onto it is actually a little bit clearer than where we were at the end of the last meeting. I do believe that's a lot clearer.
I understand Councillor McGregor wants to move a motion, but
No, it's not. No, but Councillor Neil, it's not that. I just think that's actually is a clearer statement of what it is that we are trying to achieve here. And that's no criticism of anybody. It's simply making a point. Yes, yes.
back to the workshop. Was the Baker Street
Master plan.
Baker Park master plan did not include the pool? Is that correct? I think it was.
it wasn't included.
It was isolated from the master.
Is there a reason we may need to say that we need the Baker Park master plan to include the pool in the future?
No.
I don't know.
Because that too much.
It doesn't at the moment. No?
Can we move on this now? Yeah, because we're going to end up running out of time, I'm sure. This motion that's up here now, we can move and second this and vote on it.
Well, you've already had.
We've already done
We
that.
had what I
Yep.
submitted, and I said in the event that you don't want to do that and then foreshadow the rest about the strategy, then I'm more than happy to accept as an addendum the other options, the other 1 through 5, and I would probably seek to amend 4 that it be right to state representatives and MPs or state and federal seeking the upgrade of Gosford and Wyong pools. That's not inconsistent. The inconsistency and the issue that I continually raise is that if you adopt the document without amending it, you've got to amend the document before you adopt it if you want the document to reflect the resolution. And that's why I was trying to seek clarity around the process as to whether you want amendments put forward to the document before the document then is amended and then put to council.
Point of order, Chair, as I've said, we seem to be missing it. The bits that are the subsection, in the original amendments to item 5 are the amendments to the strategy. They are what they are in order to facilitate the retention of wild pool. So those 2 amendments are the only thing required for the strategy to be consistent with retaining the pool.
I think we got the state government thing on there, amendment for that.
It's up to the mover and the seconder whether
Yeah.
they want to accept these or not. And I've already said that I'm happy to accept holus bolus one
Happy to accept that?
as an addendum
Yeah.
in the event that it is clear to everyone that this document is not being amended and then adopted before it goes to council, or if it is, that's the central thing that we need to see clarity around. It's not about claiming ownership over who got in first with an amendment. It's about whether it makes sense that the document is amended before it goes to council, or if it's done all concurrently at the same time. That's what we need clarity around.
Can't be amended until it goes to the floor of council. So I get what you're saying. Your recommendation needs to clearly articulate that the committee recommends to council that the document be amended, then adopt it.
Yes. So
So,
the point one of adopt it without any mention of it being amended needs to be changed. Adopts the Central Coast Leisure Strategy as amended pursuant to this resolution, and then it lists what the amendments are that are being sought in the resolution.
But is it taking out this current 0.5 and
No.
It's not.
Let me be clear. What I'm, as the mover, what I'm saying is that number one should read that it adopts Central Coast Leisure Council strategy and aquatic strategy as amended. I also actually moved the other wording first before this and said that should be an addendum. So all that should actually be underneath what was submitted to Civic
motion.
Board.
Okay.
And then point four, will be adopted, say, Gosford and Wyong Olympic pools.
Okay, so
So the bit in bold should be 1, 2, 3, and then
yes,
what's on the business paper 15 at 16, which is the motion that was laid on the table, willing to accept that as an addendum with the amendment that it's say Gosford and Wyong pools for point 4 and state and federal MPs, not just state MPs. And then the point 1B adopts the Central Coast Leisure and Aquatic Strategy as amended pursuant to this resolution of the committee.
that,
Question to councillor McGregor. Because you have there 4, 5 and 6, does that take over from the 0.5 that was in the original motion, which is talking about the Wyong pool?
Look, I'm happy to accept the 0.5 simply because I believe it's consistent, because that last sentence of 9.6 and 7 and 8 were the actions and the sentence around the pool. As far as I'm aware, we can double check that just to make sure.
we can leave that.
Consistent with that,
It's fine. That's fine. But
Well, there's nothing to amend the strategies.
so what we're doing now is basically we're leaving the stuff that was laid on the table in
as amended?
as and then adding the motion of tonight. Correct?
what was laid on the table is the addendum to the 1, 2 and 3 that I've submitted tonight. And then as mover, that addendum, that needs to be amended. The section around the adaptation to say that it's adopted as amended pursuant to the motion. And then point 4 is state and federal MPs seeking support financially for an upgraded Gosford and Wyong Olympic pool, which is in there. So that should be fine now. I think that's.
Okay. So
Oh, sorry, state and federal MPs. It says state representatives still.
state and federal. Yeah. Is that right now, Sharon?
Not quite. Thank you.
Okay, so it's all on the board. Okay, so councillor McGregor, that's a mover. Walsh seconded. All those in favour of the motion we now have before us.
Quick, already changes. I don't think.
Councillor Daniels, is your hand up? Councillor Daniels. So we've got Councillor McGregor, Councillor Neil, myself, Councillor Walsh, Councillor McNamara for, and are you against, Councillor Daniels? And Councillor Daniels against. I declare that motion carried. Oh, that was a marathon. Thanks, everybody, for
Never even dealt with the motion.
pursuing through there. It was all a bit challenging. Okay,
4.1.
Conflicts.
yes, 4.1, Central Coast Affordable Alternate Housing Strategy. Director?
So, sorry,
So I can move the staff recommendation if you want, or do you have a presentation on it?
no, I don't have a presentation. I'm happy to answer a question.
Just the only quick question. I know that the Civic Link or Ian raised the issue about council providing some funding. Do you have anything to say about that proposition?
Sorry, what was that?
The Pacific Link CEO raised the idea of the possibility of council providing some funding for housing or some contribution to the project. Do you have anything to say about that as director?
Council has put significant contributions towards affordable housing by way of earmarking 10.
No, I'm aware of that.
In terms of cash injection, that would require further investigation and it would require significant research and conversations.
I think it's probably something a bit too much to leap at right now, but I just was ideas on.
So, Councillor McGregor, were you moving the staff recommendation?
Yeah.
I have a seconder. Councillor, sorry, I'm forgetting people's names. Councillor Walsh, all those in favour of the staff recommendation? Oh, sorry, against?
He was to speak, I think.
Speak? Oh, speak. Sorry, I'm just getting, rushing.
Yeah, I know.
You know what it's like, John.
When I was looking at the addresses of some of the locations, couldn't understand some of the logic behind some of the places, in particular the Margaret Street across the road here, where we could have kept the title and ownership and had somebody like Pacific Link after the management office, but we keep the title of it. There were very discussions about giving away the ownership of some of those lands rather than keeping ownership and renting. I thought it would be a better way.
I would have to take that on notice and refer back to the
I can give you my view if you're interested.
conversation.
The main issue always is, of course, that one council owns and runs the property, they take the risk. And frankly, we don't have the skills necessarily to do that. We don't know whether we do it well. So it's.
We already have cottages that.
But they're sort of leased by default almost because we own the properties and using them. Generally, their properties, there's a house on it. It's earmarked for some other purpose in the future. So they rent out the houses just in the general market. Meanwhile,
That's the same as that one across the road. But
but affordable housing is a whole different level of skill. And also what Pacific Link does is when you give them the title, they use that as security to borrow money to build.
So you
they do the whole
actually,
process.
you actually diminish their capacity to attract, have funding in a number of other funding sources.
Okay.
Ian sitting there, I'm not going to ask him the question, but happy to let it go through. But at council, I think if I asked the question, if you could maybe give an answer to that, because we have cottages now, it would be in the same situation as the cottages we have now, and we keep the title.
Which are, so they're existing cottages that are managed through the stream, that are the Leeds Realty stream,
Oh, yeah.
not the build to rent stream. So there's two different, we're sort of talking about two different ways of delivering housing, if you like.
Sure.
And it sounds like what you're kind of thinking could potentially reduce Civic Link's capacity to.
Yes, so I think
It doesn't necessarily increase our capacity, might increase our, it's an asset, but
Okay, I'll just bring it up as something that I'd like to have a little bit more time. When is this coming? Is this to the December
Come
meeting?
to the December.
Okay, so I've got a little bit of time. And offline, I might talk to Ian anyhow about whether they need the title or taken on as part of the cash from council anyhow.
Okay.
Let's move.
We're back to the recommendation moved by Councillor McGregor, Councillor Walsh. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. We're moving on to a couple of items here, which I'm going to move a procedural that we consider together, which relate to the Australia Day award changes, 4.2 and 5.1. Perhaps it would be helpful if you could give us a little bit of an overview, purely because we are rolling these two in together, because I know I was slightly confused before, so maybe others maybe as well.
So you may recall that this item has been deferred twice now. So this is the third time I believe it's come back to the committee. And each time there have been requests for further information. So the last request for further information was around doing some research into what other councils, what the makeup of their review panel looked like. And
Well, that's info.
And also to look to see whether there were any resolutions on the books of council dictating the naming of the awards.
Yeah.
Which there wasn't. The two key pieces of information were the judging panel and process. Have you got the body of the report that you're able to put up? On page 42 of the papers, there's three options there. I'm happy to read through while we wait if you like. So option 1 was maintain the proposed panel structure comprising the mayor, 2 councillors and a council officer. Option 2, there we go.
That's right.
No,
No, hang on, we're still on the other one.
so page, it's dark. Page 42. There. Page 42. Oh, so it down further, yeah.
It's a judging.
Yeah, option.
There we are,
yeah.
the options.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you scroll up a bit further? There's 3 options.
2, 3.
No. Yeah. Thank you. So, as well as the officer's recommendations on this report, the committee need to decide which of those 3 is their preferred option to put forward to council to make up the judging panel.
Yeah.
We'll move option 3 if you want an option.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Yeah, I think it's probably, in seconding that, I think it's got the recommendation from the report plus option 3. I think it's probably wiser to keep the choice of the winners completely separate from the mayor and councillors, both for positive and negative reasons. Then we can say that it is being completely separate from the councillors, so it's not political in any way. So I'm certainly support that.
Did you move that option 3 and you seconded that?
Yes, and the adoption of the
3 and 3. Right. Is that, you got that? Yep, okay. So we've got moved and seconded, but and also including now option 3. for the judging panel.
Move an amendment,
What's your amendment? And
same as above, but option 2 with the previous year's citizen and a,
I think that may be a contradiction. Inconsistent. Sorry, Tom.
In conjunction with the mayor?
or whatever number 2 was up there.
Two is the deputy mayor, the mayor, the previous year, citizen of the year, and an independent community representative.
So 3 is 4 independent community reps, EOI process, and with nominated winners reviewed by the mayor.
3.
that's 3.
3. So you're keen on the previous winner.
Oh, previous
And the
winner.
mayor and the deputy mayor.
It's the Central Coast Council's thing, so I mean, it's that's why I'm saying I think the mayor and the deputy mayor need to stay in there, but the previous year's winner plus a community representative as well, for a Central Coast Council person of the year, which is what they're selecting. I just think the council needs to be in there somewhere.
Councillor McGregor, any comments on
I just think 3 is an attractive option because it's independent. Happy for the committee to vote how it wants to vote.
This is
Okay.
motion.
So we have got this on the floor at the moment, moved by Councillor McGregor, seconded by Councillor Neil.
And then you got my amendment.
Yeah,
Or foreshadowed it might be.
so
They almost certainly.
we need to put this motion to the floor though, at this moment, don't we? Unless Councillor McGregor and the seconder are happy to accept the amendment put by Councillor
I don't know. I do not feel moved that way.
You don't feel moved that way.
Councillor McGregor.
No, I said I'm happy to stick with option 2.
Okay, all right, so happy to, and Councillor Neil, you're sticking with.
Yeah, well, even if I change it, wouldn't matter for me. But I think what the decision you need to make is John's amendment or a foreshadowed motion?
Yeah.
If it's an amendment, you need to put it before you put our resolution.
Correct.
If it's not, he can step aside and wait. And if our resolution is lost, you can deal with his.
I'll put the amendment.
All right, okay.
Which is option 2.
Well, it's option 2.
Cheeky.
Gave me the option, you shouldn't have.
No, I didn't give you the option. I was.
Well, let's just get on with
The
it.
amendment,
The
the
amendment,
amendment is option 2.
the amendment's option 2, so let's put this to the vote.
Does
Do
he
we
have
have a seconder for the amendment though?
Councillor Daniels.
Oh, Councillor Daniels. Right, okay. So the amendment is option 2, correct? That's what we're going to vote on first. So all those in favour of option 2
The amendment.
of the amendment, which is option 2. That's Councillor McNamara, Councillor Daniels. Those against the
Now you know how we feel like.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Councillor McGregor, Councillor Neil Castles and Councillor Orchard declare the amendment lost, and I'll put the original motion.
With option 3.
Yes, the option which is option 3. We've got option 2 there. It's option 3.
The amendment up on the
Yeah,
screen.
oh, it's being slow. Okay, so that was moved by, no, the other one was. This one is moved by Councillor McGregor and Councillor Neil.
Neil.
No, you.
Yeah, Councillor Neil. So now I'll put the motion on the board. All those in favour? Councillor Daniels has a hand up. Right, so that's Councillor Daniels, Councillor McGregor, Councillor Neil, Councillor Castles and Councillor.
I think she just got sorry.
And all those against, lonely soul John is Councillor McNamara. It's going to declare it carried. Thank you. Right, that's Australia Day done. Now we are now up to the draft Central Coast Tukley Community Facilities Master Plan, and it's the outcome of the public exhibition and adoption. Director, did you need to speak to this?
For the sake of time, I'm happy to take questions. The report is read.
Some of the discussions we've had previously is that it's a bit too confined in the border, the boundary of where that the master plan is going to be looking at. Did you get back anything at all to include?
So my previous responses have been around, this is about a facility. It's not about a it's not about the master planning of a town centre. This is very specific to a site within a town centre. Master planning of a town centre is a different body of work that gets done by strategic planning. This is about facilities.
Yeah, Councillor McGregor.
From memory, this was one of the ones that got extended to 42 days consultation. Did you find that with that extra consultation time, you got more submissions later on in the piece, or was it much the same as if it would have been half that time?
It was much the same as it would have been before 28 days. Pardon?
We're shattered.
Okay. Any other, discussion on this before we, a mover and a seconder?
I'll move the recommendation.
Councillor McGregor moving the recommendation. Right, a seconder. Councillor Walsh seconding. All those in favour of the recommendation on the board? Yep, unanimous.
Unanimous.
No, I can't say the words. That one.
Unanimous.
Yeah, okay. So we now have the item 5.3, which is the draft Central Coast Public Art Plan and Policy, outcomes of public exhibition and adoption. Again, Director, did you wish to speak to this at all in anything in particular? And then maybe if people have got a few questions.
If I can take the report as read and happy to answer questions.
I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Yep.
And in doing so, I just want to note the feedback that we received saying the focus on local arts is important. That's a view I very much share. So it's really good to see that feedback and to see that incorporated in the strategy. So well done.
Move. Yes, John.
Public art, sculptures by the sea, Bondi. Is any of the recommendations, actions in the stop us from having something like a sculptures by the sea? And I think the intent is going to be that it's going to be spread across the Central Coast, not just in one area. So
it actually supports a project. So we don't have a public art policy at the moment. So this document combined with the event strategy that's going before council in next week actually support us, our capacity or ability to attract something of that magnitude on the coast.
right, so both together, it's going to be better for staff to enable us to have.
It gives support for that, which previously it doesn't.
I know support is different than actually making it happen. Have you got enough in here or the major event strategy to make it happen rather than just support it?
Yes, I believe we do.
Okay. Thank you.
We need a seconder for this too, by the way. Councillor McMahon seconding.
Quick, I think it allows it to happen, but I think you'd still have to actually have a resolution saying we want to do X, Y, or Z.
We would have to come before council we would have to come before council because we would be seeking funding outside of the adopted budget.
Right.
So that would be a standalone report that would come via this committee through the council process.
All right. So any other speakers for or against this, or put it to the, we asked for a mover and a seconder, which we had Councillor Neal, Councillor McNamara. All those in favour? Yeah, I can see Councillor Daniels. That's unanimous. everybody. Thank you. This is actually at the end of the meeting now. Just so people are aware, because of the tight time frame between when this meeting has been held and the council meeting, which is obviously next week, any matters that have, been recommended from this meeting will actually go to the December meeting because there isn't enough time in between. So
Meeting.
9th or something, 9th or 10th of December, just so that you're aware that we won't be really dealing with them at this meeting. So the actual next meeting of this committee is not until Tuesday, oh my goodness me, Tuesday, the 10th of February, 2026. I know. Which at this stage is saying, oh, we've probably had it scheduled in for here anyway. So I'm now declaring the meeting closed at 6:21 p.m. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
I'll be disappointed, but maybe you can, you can't.